when can we meet up to talk about the flooring options? I mean, it's just such a more personal experience. So when people come in, they're not like, yeah, I'm here to look at new Highlanders. They're like, I'm here to see the guy with the red beard who sent me a video an hour and a half ago.
Yeah, and video, I mean,
really
even the technology on your phone, you can do, there is a time and a place to do video on your own that doesn't have to be a production, it doesn't have to be production value, top of the line videos, but then there's a place to do professional videos. So, there are how-to videos and different things that you can do for content, FAQ videos that you could do yourself in-house, as long as somebody's taking the time to make sure that the camera isn't, shaking or, but it's not difficult to do with your iPhone. The quality is really good.
And I thought for Sam too, like if you have a lot of personal clients who are doing personal training, like what if you were to send them videos inside of emails kind of checking up on their progress? Like if you meet up with these people once a week or twice a week, what if at the midway point it was like, hey, it's Sam, I know, a couple days ago we did shoulders, was wondering how you were feeling. In the meantime, tried these 2 stretches to get ready for legs on Thursday, see you then. Like, I think that would just, it would keep your people. I don't know if it would get you more leads, but they wouldn't be going anywhere.
So what do you utilize for your video?
We use a program called Co-Video. The car business is still victim to like technology is not on the same page with people who want to be.
Right.
Like I'm at a dealership who's like, give me more. I need to figure out how to do this, and a lot of the platforms and processes are a little bit behind. So we use Co-Video. There's a lot to be left or a lot to be desired, but
we've used Loom before, LOOM. But there's a few different options like that. Some are free, some are paid.
Always put your videos on YouTube. I know that there's Vimeo, some different programs, but because Google owns YouTube, I mean that's for searchability and anything else. That's going to be the best place.
Yeah, just one clarification. These are the one-on-one videos, and
right.
we wouldn't recommend doing those. But any other video that is one-to-many, you definitely put on YouTube.
Yes. Okay, so some things about website content, just a couple tips. Make your content valuable and relevant. Internet users search for a topic on Google or any other search engine. They expect the search engine result to provide them an accurate result based on the information that they're looking to have provided to them. So, back in the day, there was all kinds of smoke and mirrors marketing with content. If somebody's searching for something, you pretend that you're going to tell them about that, and then they get to your website and you're trying to sell them, trinkets and different things. And that was like rampant. People didn't trust paid search ads just because there were just so many tactics that were making it just really iffy, and you were going to websites that were spammy, selling things that you didn't ever want to buy. So just make sure that the content, whatever you're advertising and wherever you're sending your traffic, that the content on that page is very relevant to what somebody searched. Keep it concise. So, we feel like we have to say everything about a service, a product on a website page. People want to browse. They do not want everything that they could possibly ever know about your business or your products or your services on every single website page. And think about how that translates to mobile too. Length of content is important because you have to have enough, but then you can also have too much. There's too little, there's too much, there's a sweet spot. Brandon, I don't know if you have any any specific numbers that are good for word count?
However many it needs, it's as simple as that, so, there used to be a time where people would say, you have to have a minimum of 300 words, or, blog posts have to be 500 words or 1,000 words, it depends on how long it takes to get your message across. If it's very informational, when is daylight savings time, that you don't need 1,000 words on that, right? In fact, Google probably won't even show your website anymore. Google just shows it itself. I think you want to provide the opportunity for people that want more information, that want to do the research, that provide opportunity for that, but don't make that on one big page. Provide enough information and provide calls to action to help people feel confident in making a choice for you. but also provide the resources. You know, hey, we've done a white paper, we've done case studies, or we have a whole resource section to help you know, here's why we're the best choice, or here's why we're better than this other company. You know, providing that information for people that are looking more top of funnel. It can help, you know, help you rank better in search, but ultimately provide enough information to help them know that you're the right choice. And it doesn't have to, so when we talk about content, video is important for that. Having case studies is important. Having images is a type of content. We tend to talk, and we can talk a little bit more about this later, but social proof. Making sure that people feel confident in their decision, that they're not the only one that is going to hire you. Show that you've been around for a while, that you do good work, that hundreds, if not thousands of people have trusted you, that you've been in business for a while, that you've won awards, that, you know, there's a lot you can do, and we can dive a little bit more on that later, but, you know, help create content that's going to help them be confident in the decision that they're making.
So stay on topic. If somebody is, if you're directing somebody to a page, don't make them sift through tons of content to find what it is specifically that they're looking for. So there are ways when somebody clicks, even if the content that they're looking to consume is halfway down the page, that if they click a specific link, it's jumping them to that specific content. Inner site linking, so if you've got, you know, if somebody's reading content like Brandon said, and maybe you have a white paper or other resources on that, include a link to that within the content so people can continue without having to read it all on one page. Take them to different areas. Maybe you're linking them to a blog post or something else. Taking them off-site is never a good idea. If there is something that you need to show them that maybe is on a sister site or maybe on your social media page, you always want that to open in a new tab so that they still have your website open and they can go back if needed. Check and recheck grammar and spelling errors. So that's, you know, pretty much self-explanatory. Nobody wants to read your website and trust you after they see grammatic and spelling errors. So if you write something for the website, do not edit it and spell check it yourself. Send it to somebody else to read, because none of us can edit our own content very well.
Is it better for, like, so on our website I have like the Yoast SEO plugin. So if I'm listing a truck ad, I'm like trying to write to like make that light turn green, content looks good or whatever. But like there's only so much you can write about a truck for sale. So is it better to like write about the, like, what's the balance? Is it better to like make that thing happy, or is it better to?
In terms of that, you want to default to right to people.
Right.
Your audience is not Google, your audience is not the Yoast plugin, your audience is a person.
Yeah.
And if you can communicate adequately to them, that's the most important thing. The Yoast plugin, that can help rank, it can help you better understand, and maybe see some gaps, but don't shoot for green all the time.
Okay, good. Got a lot of red and orange. So.
Write assertively. Again, don't come off as arrogant and cocky. It's okay to say we are the best company here, but if you have proof that backs that up, that maybe they voted you best or something else, but everybody says that they're the best. Are you really the best? If you truly feel that you're the best, don't be afraid to say it. Try and back it up with some content, but write assertively, because you know your products and services better than anyone else. If you think that you lack in it, if you don't at that moment have the best customer service out there because you have issues, don't write on your website that you have the best customer service. Make sure that you write about the things that you truly know are the best of the best within your company, and that you're able to say it with confidence. Write for your audience. Kind of goes back to what Brandon just said. We get a lot of websites that they're still writing for search engines. Lancaster Flooring Company. If you are looking for the best Lancaster Flooring Company, choose us, because we're the best flooring company in Lancaster. If you are looking for flooring of any kind, come to us in Lancaster County. And that used to be an old tactic. That's not writing for your user, that's writing for a search engine, and that's not content anybody's going to consume. And Google is now not going to reward it either. So always make sure that you're talking to your customer. Avoid fluff, weed out all of the junk they don't need to use. Like, oh, this paragraph doesn't look long enough. What can I add to this? Well, if you have nothing to add to the paragraph, don't add anything to it. If enough content is there, then that's enough. Let me see how I am on time here. Okay. So marketing tactics. So we talked about channels. Sometimes channels and tactics kind of overlap. But within a channel like Facebook or social media, there are a lot of different tactics. Within Google Ads, there are a lot of different tactics. In out-of-home marketing, from billboard to everything else, lots of different ways. There are digital billboards, there are static billboards. So really evaluating a tactic and what's gonna work, this is where we kind of talk about, don't get caught up in the latest fad. You know, if you know that as a car dealership, that dealer.com or some of those websites that are the ones that you're gonna partner with, because that's how you become so successful, that's great, but don't, you know, oh, hey, well, I've heard everybody's doing this, I'm gonna abandon these things that we know are tried and true and work in our industry, and I'm gonna try this new thing because this is what other people are doing. Make sure it's industry specific, but don't be afraid to kind of push the norms. You know, we do work with some car dealership clients, and their websites and everything are tied to these .coms that kind of do all of the marketing, but we have found with our oversight that they can be very cookie cutter, and they're not really pushing the limits. You know, the websites have boundaries, they're built on older templates, you've got paid search ads that it's like, well, this is what we say and this is how we run them, but there isn't somebody behind there saying, how can we be unique? How can we be different? How can we stretch the limits of what a car dealer says? What can we do that nobody else is doing, that dealer.com's PPC team is never gonna think about when we talk about in our ads? So even if there are industry norms for how you market in your industry, always think of ways that you can push the limits as long as your audience is going to connect with it, if it's something that's going to be of value and important to them.
And sometimes that's offline, sometimes
Yeah.
that's something locally, you know, what are you doing to support local charities? How can you best highlight that? You know, how are you being involved in your community? That's type of marketing that, you know, it's not cookie cutter. It's not something, it's something unique that your company, your people are passionate about, that your community has a need for. Those are things you need to be thinking about, and how to best leverage that, not in a, you know, best highlight it so that it shows that your company cares and that your company is involved in the community.
So process to evaluate tactics, suitability for a particular audience. Obviously, if you know your audience is not on Facebook, or that's not how they're buying your products or services, well then you don't want to use that. How will it be measured? Again, if you're looking at branding and you're putting that specific amount of money in branding, and you know that a billboard is to create awareness about your business, then how it will be measured, there should still be a metric to it. So maybe it's we're gonna be watching our branded terms or our direct traffic coming to our website, because that will show a lift in brand based on some of the things that we're doing. More people are searching us by name, more people are searching and coming to our website using our actual URL instead of Google searching our product or services or keywords. Lead and revenue projections based on evidence. So how much revenue do you think that channel can bring you based on what you know, maybe industry-wide. You know, I'm sure places like dealer.com have a lot of stats that say, here's what you can expect to gain from the spending advertising dollars in this way. Some of that's just Google searching and looking at industry norms. What is an average cost per lead in the accounting industry, or whatever it is? But there are numbers and benchmarks out there to set so that you know if you're at least hitting the mark within 10% either way. Estimated cost to implement. So, you know, if you want to try something new, like we said, you can't always expect an immediate return. So, again, all stakeholders need to be bought in and understand, what is this cost going to be to implement this? Is this going to be a loss leader for a little bit until we get it up and running and can really see the benefit of it? And is everybody bought in to kind of taking that hit at first to be able to gain some traction with that new tactic moving forward? So don't stay in it too long, but don't stop too soon before you really get a chance to see the benefits. Internal and external skill requirements. So if you're going to take on a tactic and you say, well, our secretary's daughter is on Facebook all of the time, so we're going to pay her to do our Facebook advertising, and we're going to give her $1,000 a month budget to either boost posts or do Facebook ads, that is not somebody meeting the skill requirement for investing that kind of money. Organic posting, if they're well and that person has parameters about how they speak on social, what they don't talk about, what they do talk about, what images they can use, what images they can't use. Sure, you can have somebody, a novice, help you out that understands Facebook, but if you're gonna put money towards it, you need to make sure that it's somebody that has the skill level, and if you don't have that internally, don't cut corners, then if you really wanna do it, you need to hire somebody to help you with that. And then any other required resources for the tactic that you're choosing. You know, obviously if you're gonna do billboard, you're gonna wanna work with a company that understands how to buy billboard, get it at, you know, a good cost, instead of, you know, you taking some of your internal resources to make all kinds of phone calls and figure out, you know, where you're gonna do it, how you're gonna do it, and understanding all of the lingo that goes into that. So that brings us to determining partners. So, again, this is really important, what I said at the very beginning about how complex marketing is becoming, and just being able to not only keep up, but stay at the forefront of everything that happens within Google and social media and all of the changes that take place on a regular basis. When you're looking for a partner, there are a few things that are really, really important. Prior experience and demonstrated expertise in relevant areas. Now, when I say relevant areas, that doesn't mean that they have to have ever marketed a car business before, or they don't have to totally understand your product or your service or have marketed in that industry before. When I say relevant, in the relevant areas, it's have they marketed a B2C business? Sometimes, so we see this in like dentist office, there are marketing companies that only serve dentists. They have a templated website, all of that content and images fit into that, their services, everything that they do. They have certain marketing that they do, they have ads that are already written and they go up. They never see the forest through the trees, because there are things that would work for a flooring company that would work for a dentist office. And sometimes having somebody outside of your area of expertise to kind of look in and say, okay, here are some things that we've seen work in similar areas, or here are things that we've seen work in B2C businesses in this type of manufacturing. Sometimes it's good to not have those preconceived notions about how they market a company, because it becomes cookie cutter. And then there isn't a lot of change. It's kind of the same ads they've been running for the last 4 years. It's the same website template they've been building. They haven't looked at how ADA compliance is impacting small business with websites. They're not looking at the last change that happened with Google and how they should develop a meta description, or what the length of that should be. So always beware of those industry specific types of firms that say we specialize only in this and these are the only people we serve, because sometimes that comes with a lot of bad habits that have never changed. The quality of the proposal. So is it tailored to your business? Does it have good information, or can you tell they just basically slapped your name in there and sent it off? So our proposals, when we do them for a client, in most cases, a lot of the information is the same. So our proposal is more, here's what it's gonna cost, but when we meet with our clients, we're tailoring a strategy based on all of the questions that they've answered for us. No preconceived notions. We're doing high level strategy, but the tactics and the things that we're gonna do are never in our marketing proposal. Because until we sign a client on and we dig into their audits and we diagnose where problems are, we could never, it would be very egotistical of us to say, well, we're gonna do this, and this for you, and this is how much it's gonna cost. People pay us for time and attention. They don't pay us for specific tactics, because we build a strategy based on every client. So it wouldn't be necessarily bad if the proposal was cookie cutter, as long as it was high level and not, here are the 5 things that we're gonna do for your money every month, because how do they know they're the 5 things that are gonna work? Budget. So do they clearly show what's included in the pricing? Is it, we're gonna do SEO for you and you're gonna pay us $2,000 a month? So SEO is not a thing. SEO is a strategy that has a group of very tactical, executable things that somebody's gonna do on behalf of your business to increase your visibility online. It's not just this thing that is, well, we don't know what they do, but they're working on SEO. Like SEO are things, it's content, it's updating directory descriptions, it is optimizing your Google My Business listing, it's fixing errors in your online presence, it's building content on your website, it's building out pages on your website that answer questions that people are posing in Google, it's creating an FAQ page that answers questions that people are posing in Google. So it's not just a thing that you just pay once a month for, and then I don't know what they're doing, but they're doing SEO. SEO is a group of things that people actually do. Key performance indicators, how are they going to measure their success? So how are they going to let you know that every month they're going to be holding themselves accountable for what they are delivering? And then get at least 2 references, one from a long-term client and one from a new client. I'd say one that's maybe been with a firm for about 6 months. So you can find a lot of information based on somebody that's been there a long time, because they're the one that they're going to give you that they know screams from the rooftops. But that newer client that they haven't built necessarily that relationship with yet is going to give you some insights on what was it like when they signed, when you went on board with them. How much did they accomplish? Did they do the things that they said they were going to do? Because in that first 6 months, our clients especially are the most skeptical and watching very closely what we're doing. Have we kept our promises? Are we moving the needle? So always 2 references. And then read between the lines of the proposal and ask the right questions. If there's something that you don't quite understand, always make sure that you're asking. There is some gut that goes into it, but there are some really good salespeople that can sell you a bag of goods and you would never know until you start working for them. But like a channel or a tactic, don't wait too long to say, okay, this is not working, but also make sure you give it enough time, because no vendor, especially in a marketing agency, can figure out your business. Even if they work with other companies in your industry, they can't figure out your business in a month or 2. It takes time, it takes trial and error, it takes testing. But if you can stick it out, we have a plumbing and heating client that was losing boatloads of money when they came on with us, and they were spending close to $30,000 a month on marketing, barely moving the needle. They had to take a loss for at least a year when we started working with them. Now, fast forward 4 years later, they were $7.2 million last year, did $9.1 million this year, only spend $15,000 a month in marketing now. And we know what we have to do for them and what works, and we try some new things at times. We give it time to work. If it doesn't, we back out. But we have a system, and we know if he would have waited for a year and said, well, guys, I'm still losing money. Like, why aren't you doing this? But he sometimes kicking and screaming, stuck with it. And, now 4 years later, they're growing faster. They can't hire enough people to keep up. That's their biggest challenge right now, is hiring enough people. So after all of this, when you go through everything, documenting your plan, like Brandon said, ours is about 5 pages. We look at each of these key areas and we briefly lay out, okay, what is our messaging going to be? How will we speak on social media? What is the audience that we're going after? Who is our best customer? Who's the best fit? What is our mission, our purpose, our passion? What is our niche? How are our teams going to speak about us? What channels are we going to try? How are we going to measure them? How much money are we going to put towards them? Within those channels, what tactics are we going to use? Who's going to be the person that's writing our content? Do we need a partner? Who's that partner going to be? How are we going to search for them? So going through that plan and really laying it out to say, okay, in Q1, here's what we're going to accomplish. We know we're going to sit down and we're going to define who we are, who we serve, how we're going to serve them, what we're going to say to them, and what type of a budget overall we're going to have to put into everything else we're going to do. And then maybe in Q2, you're going to figure out, you're going to get your website where it needs to be. You're going to get some audits done. You're going to start to work on your online presence. But you don't feel like you have to do everything at once. It takes time for this process and to put it into place. It took us a year, and we're a marketing company. Now, some of that is because we never have time to work on our own stuff. But it's not something that we want to rush. It's something that we really, we invested the time in our leadership team to sit down and really flesh out each of these areas. And once and only after we fleshed all of them out did we start putting the plan in place. And we've been doing it this whole year, and we will now implement it for 2020. Where you would think we could have been able to, put it together in Q1, implement it in Q2, and keep going. But it was really important, and we had a lot to figure out within that. Because we thought we knew who our audience was, and we thought we knew who, we wanted to go after as a client, But we realized we all kind of had different expectations for that. So it kind of bringing all of us onto the same page gave us this clear focus that every single one of us now knows we can sit down with a client and we're all in agreement, oh, they wouldn't be a fit for us, or these guys are perfect. Where before it was like, well, I think we should talk to them. I don't think they're gonna be a good client. Well, I don't know, we had this other guy, but now we are all on the same page and there is no gray area for us anymore, which is really nice. So by the time you're done with your plan, you should know your goals, you should know your audience, know what channels you're gonna connect with that audience, what messaging are you gonna use, what's your content strategy gonna be, what tactics are you gonna use, and then, who's gonna write the plan, who's gonna put it together, and how are you gonna hold each other accountable for execution of that plan. Well, I wanted to be done at 11:30, so it's 11:17.
So any questions? We do have more stuff we can talk about, but I just wanted to, get any questions you have.
I have a general Google related question. A couple months ago I asked one of my salespeople, like, alright, pull it up on the website, and they Google searched my website and then clicked on it. I then made everybody bookmark it, so we stopped Google searching it. Does that have a meaningful effect on the measurables? Having people in your own company Google search your stuff to get in instead of going directly to the website? It's something that I think I may have overlooked for a while. I don't know if that has much of an effect or not.
So a couple things there. First thing, you don't want them clicking on ads. If you're running ads on your branding, that will cost you a lot of money. So make sure your entire team knows to never click on an ad that is for your company, especially if you're in B2B. It's probably more expensive. The second thing is in Google Analytics, if that's where you're tracking everything, which is where most people track things, you would just want to make yourself have an IP filter to say, disable my IP. So if they're doing it at the dealership, that won't go towards goal conversions, page views, none of that would go in there. And if they're doing a lot of that at home, and they're going on your website at home, put all of their home IPs in there as well. So we have today is our work from home day for our company. So we have, in most of our clients' Google Analytics accounts, we have all of our home IPs excluded in there so that it's not shown.
That's on the measurement
Yeah,
side. On the Google side, Google's smart enough to know there's a lot of people searching from the location for the location's website, so it takes that into account.
Cool.
So it's not going to be a negative, but it's also not going to be a positive.
It's more of the don't click on ads and
That's the
Click on
biggest
ads,
thing.
that is
Yeah.
the most important thing.
Yeah.
allocated for
Google
not you.
Google's very smart, and Google, well, the boxes
Sure,
at
yeah,
Google,
yeah.
The computers at Google are smart enough. If there's a way to game the system, they're figuring out how to stop it. And so that was a thing. The more searches you did at one location might change how it ranks. And so Google was kind of put some of that away.
My very first day at this company, I said, why don't I just go to all of our clients' competitors and just click all their ads? And that was a really horrible thing to think, but that's what I thought. And so, but Google's already years ago has figured all that stuff out. Where if you click on one ad and then you go right away and you click on another ad, okay, they're gonna stop showing you ads. So they've kind of figured out all of those things. So those types of technical,
It's crazy how your brain works over time, because when I'm searching for anything now, I always bypass it. Because if I know what company I'm looking for, I never click on their Google ads because I feel terrible. I'm like, I already know that I'm looking for them and I want to click on them, so I always make sure I don't click on their paid ad. But most people aren't savvy enough to understand that, especially your employees. Like, they don't know if they're doing a branded search and you're running paid ads on your name. They most likely, if they just want to go and look at the website, they might click on your ad. So it is really good to let your team know never to click on an ad online.
When I skip over
On
click-
your own ad.
On your own ad, yeah.
just Google searching things, I skip over every single paid ad on every search
I do
because I'm
too.
still afraid
Like
of them.
all right, let's
Yeah,
not make that a
but-
public thing.
No,
All right?
but
Keep that
I-
to yourself.
Now,
It's-
that
it's
is
hard to
still,
balance,
that's still
like,
a
it
big part
depends.
of people's
Yeah.
people's mindset.
Yeah.
It's paid search works really, really well, especially in service businesses when there can be an offer there, like, your plumbing is, spewing out of your kitchen sink, $50 off your service call, rated #1, best of Lancaster County, whatever it is. A lot of people will click on that ad because they think that's how they get the offer. But, in general, a lot of ads, even if they're just informational, like I was Googling this morning, like how to get my puppy to sleep at night. and a whole bunch of ads came up, and I skipped over them because I figured they're trying to sell me some puppy training program or whatever. Like, I just wanted content. So those ads don't work well for me. But if it's an offer-driven ad because I'm looking for a new pair of shoes or a comforter for the bedroom, then, you know, typically I will. But not everybody's search is different. And that's one thing to remember when you're doing marketing for yourself and your company, because you wouldn't click on it, or you wouldn't say it, or you wouldn't react to it. You are not your audience. You are way closer to it than anybody else is going to be, and you shouldn't make those decisions based on how you feel about how you search.
Like that, I see value in like what you guys do for that reason, because it's I always struggle with our own stuff. Like when we all go around and say like what we do, it's easy to think in your head how you would interact with that, and that sometimes that's like the best person to feed into what you need to do.
Well, it's like people that run their own paid search. It's like, oh, well, nobody clicked on this today. We didn't get any leads, so what do we have to go in there and change? And they're not necessarily looking at the right things or changing the right things, because there's so much that goes into optimizing a paid search ad. And there are times where you just have to let it ride, because if you don't have enough data to make a decision, again, backing out of it too early can be really detrimental.
There's also stuff that you can do internally. You know, your customer service team, whoever answers the phones, whoever answers the emails, if they get a question more than once a week, you know, that is a flag that, you know, either you're not providing the right information on the website, or, you know, that's a direction of, you know, hey, maybe we need to lean into this. So, you know, kind of crowdsourcing the people that are facing your clients is a great way to figure out what you need to do on your website, or what ads you need to run. You know, that really helps. So yeah, that's another type of outside opinion, but they're probably even closer to it than an agency, because they're the ones that have already decided, or they're really in the market for that.
Another really good thing to think about when it comes to your website and how you gain information from a prospect. So there are many different ways to gather information, and you know, you'll see a lot. You'll go to a website and it'll pop up right away and say, you know, enter your email and get our newsletter. But in most cases, if you just hit a website, you don't know enough about that company to know if you want their newsletter or not. So it's intrusive. And Google has kind of penalized websites that do that, the pop-ups that just kind of come up. But think about how somebody buys. So if somebody's looking for a quote, a flooring estimate, if the only call to action on the website is get a quote or call us, well, you're now only hitting one option, and not everybody's going to be in that mindset when they come to your website. Somebody might have a question. Like, I had a question the other day about countertops. I didn't want to fill out a request to quote form, and I didn't want to fill out a contact form. I just wanted to ask somebody a question, and I didn't want to call them. I didn't want to talk to a person. Like, I just wanted to know how I measured. So ultimately, I had to use their contact form, which I was okay with. But even if they had, you know, a small like ask a question pop up at the bottom of the website, that is still an email, but it's tailored to me, because I know in that industry there are just questions I have before I consider taking the next step. That's called a micro conversion. So it might not be the macro conversion, meaning the best case scenario of what you would want somebody to do on your website, but you're offering them other small pieces of information, ways to contact you or ways to give you their information because they want something from you, but they don't want to talk to you on the phone, and they don't want to fill out your quote form. They need some other way, maybe even outside of a contact form, to make contact with you in a way that they want to interact.
While you were talking about the brand really quickly, one thing I would say is if your product or service is in your brand name, definitely continue to search your brand on Google in like an incognito window, just to see if even accidentally your competitors are running ads on your brand. So we have, it seems like everybody and their brother is a roofer nowadays, but you know, it's usually like the last name roofing or the last name roofer and brothers or whatever it is. And as a paid specialist, sometimes we go way up in the funnel for keywords, and we're just bidding on the word roofing. If anybody in Lancaster or Berks County is saying the word roofing, I want to show an ad for it. Which, if your name is blank roofing, that means I want to show an ad on that term. So consistent, and we see this a lot in the car industry as well, but continue to search your brand name to see, one, if competitors are bidding on your brand name, because then sadly you're going to need to spend some money to bid on your own brand name to be above them, because you don't want to start losing customers to ads from a competitor, but sometimes your competitors do it accidentally and they're not trying to, but as a result, they're on a mobile device, they're taking up the entire first screen with an ad on your branding incidentally. So keep that in
And
mind.
stop Googling yourself and getting upset that you don't show up in your own search, in your own website search. We hear that all the time. Well, my mom said that she searched this and we didn't even come up. Why aren't we coming up? And it's like, okay, well, where does your mom live? Where is she in proximity to your business? Where are you trying to get customers? So there's so many caveats that go into, you know, a website search. If you start noticing, the search results page will look different almost any time you do a search, depending on what product, service, piece of information you're looking for. So don't trust your own website searches, because there are a lot of caveats that go into whether or not something shows up for you when you search it. And it could be because they know that you search all the time and you never ever click on your own website, so they're gonna stop showing your website to you as a search result because you don't ever choose it. Maybe you click on your competitors, which you're telling Google that your competitors are more relevant than you in the search result that you're searching for. So it's all of those little nuances that you have to think about that can be really positive or detrimental. We usually get it with business owners. Our marketing contact reaches out to us, well, he was Googling himself again and said that we didn't show up anymore on this page for this, and it's, you know, trying to explain why. Sometimes we don't even know. You know, sometimes there is no rhyme or reason for why you show up and why you don't show up. That's all up to Google. And if we could control that, we wouldn't be here talking to you right now. We would all be millionaires and we'd be making a lot of money. Aruba.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably a good breaking point, Bonnie, if anybody wants to
Yeah.
use the restroom or. Hit the road.
So when you're searching, if you search a competitor, so that goes into the bucket, if you will, of, in Google's mind, of you're calling attention to your competitor.
That's probably not as detrimental if they're searching like flooring and you click on one of your competitors.
And let me also say this, it's not like a one-time search doesn't change it that much. But typically for a business, if they are searching a lot of times, so we have a law firm, and he calls us like once a month. He's like, I did searches every single day this month,
Yeah.
and here's what I found. Well, he's been doing searches from his desk. And so Google, or from on his mobile, you know, at his desk. And so Google's saying, yes, you should be shown number one because you are there. You know, so there's a lot that we'll
Yeah.
talk a little bit more about that, but there's a lot that goes into how you show up.
Got it.
And one search for your competitor will not make or break it.
Thank you.
Brandon and Nate,